Hello, everyone, and welcome to the 15th episode of the ArtaCast. We have the first high amount of spoilers for the next set. What's very exciting. We will talk about it later. And I was in Vienna on a big tournament, on two big tournaments actually, and want to talk about it a bit too, and what the meta seems to be like right now. Going into the set championships are over now, and we're all waiting a bit for the new set, to be honest. But at least for me, there's still one big tournament I will go to in the mid of March, so I'm still not complete out of the format yet. But yeah, Eddie, how was your week? And are you also, or are you a bit out of the format right now?
Yeah, I would say I'm out of the format now. I think I've played all the set six I can play. My week was not so great. Going into the weekend, I managed to pick up a nasty case of what I assume was COVID because I lost all my taste. I was going to make a joke about I started playing red blue after saying that, but I'll leave that there. But yeah, lost my taste and stuff, so I assume it's COVID. I couldn't go to my last set championships, so that's that was a real shame. I was really looking forward to playing in that one. Nice local store, but
sad.
yeah, had to miss it. Which yeah, it's bad, but yeah, today I woke up still feeling quite bad, but I really feel like all these spoilers and news have like not just metaphorically brought me back to life, but like literally brought me back to life. I kind of like sprung up in my bed. Did you ever see the old Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? Like the really old movie with
No, no,
Gene
no,
Wilder?
no, I actually didn't.
Oh, okay. Well, there's a very famous scene at the beginning where Charlie's sick family and his granddad Joe is like stuck in bed all the time. Then Charlie gets his golden ticket, and suddenly Grandpa Joe is full health, and he's just like it's like he was faking the whole time. But I had a moment like that when the spoilers were out, and I just kind of leapt up, and my nose stopped running, and I was like, "I got a golden ticket, let's go!" I was just ready to, yeah. Suddenly, all life force came back to me, so. Yeah, I feel good now. I probably will pass out by the end of the cast, but I have a short burst of life, which is good. But
I
yeah, haven't played a lot of Lorcana, obviously, but excited to talk about this new stuff.
yeah, I think the people will appreciate it that you come out of the bed and just for the people, for the community, you sacrifice everything just to
Yep,
be there for them. No,
I'm willing
I
to lay my health on the line.
but still, I know we are all excited, but still, I think we need. Yeah, the format is still 3 or 4 weeks left, so I
Yes.
think we still talk a bit about it. My weekend was, I think quite interesting because I have a lot of new insights. Not actually for meta, but for my, how can I say, the mindset, or how can I say, I was very unhappy with all the decks I tested before the Vienna tournament. I was on the Vienna Enchanted tournament, which is actually pretty big. And I tested the whole week and was not happy with anything I played. The best thing still was for me. Then I tested purple, I tested green purple, I tested red purple, and purple steel. And actually, what I went with was this purple steel list. I played this list, and my thinking was I was playtesting a lot, and this list was the only thing that was pretty good in testing for me. The idea is we have a lot of more sharks, and what is the best shark answer is still Zeus, I think, of all the cards that are available. And what I really liked in testing was the Tinkerbells, the 3-cost Tinkerbells, because they prevent your opponent from questing, because they always threaten the shift. It was absolutely crazy in my testing. And still, Tinkerbell into Genie, sometimes against red decks, especially against red purple, stupidly just wins you a game by having four law of evasive threats out there. Unfortunately, the tournament was, I don't know what happened to me, was pretty bad. I went 1-1-5, so 1 win, 1 loss, 5 draws. And I played in all of my career of Lorcana, I played the poorest I ever did. I made nearly a misplay in any match I played. And I don't know why. Maybe I was a bit tired or something. I was pretty disappointed from myself and was really bad mooded at the evening. And my wife had to get through to cheer me up all the time. And yeah, I don't know what's actually going. I think the list was pretty good still, and there were some really successful purple steel lists, but I don't know. I think sometimes I have some insights from the weekend. Sometimes I really am not. I don't want to say focused, but my wife dropped after round 3 or something, and she watched all of my games, and she realized that I'm a very chaotic person in real life, and that I actually forget sometimes the goat lore or something, or the location lore or something. And she said to me, probably you still lose sometimes games because you are so chaotic. And she was really mad at some point because all of my not all of my paper tournaments, but the DLCs or something, she said maybe you just missed some games because you're an absolutely chaotic person. And that's what what really helped me, that someone watched me the whole time, because I don't realize it myself. And it's actually really important for me to work on that. Did you experience something like that yourself, or is it just me?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting to just have. I think there's a really good lesson there about just having somebody else observe your games, and not your opponent, because have a third party. Especially, it's really, it's like the best example you've got, which is that your wife knows Lorcana really well and is a good player herself, and knows you and your habits really well. So she's really like the perfect person to be that observer, because you only learn lessons if you notice that there was a lesson to be learned.
Yes, exactly.
So everything you've ever forgotten,
Yeah.
you don't even know you're forgetting it
Yes,
because you forgot
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You need somebody else to say to you, "Hey, you're forgetting all this stuff," and then you go, "Okay, great, fantastic. I now understand why I have like missed the top cut in this tournament, that tournament, and there's nothing I can do about it." But what you can do is try to work on those habits and try to build some of those. So I think it's really valuable. I've definitely had stuff like that. I'm not too forgetful, but then it's this is a little bit philosophical and existential, but
yeah, that's
I find
why it's interesting, I think.
yeah,
Yeah.
I find the whole concept really scary, which is that you never know what you've forgotten. Any one of us at any time could have forgotten anything really important. We would
Yeah.
never know because we've
Yeah.
forgotten it. It's like absolutely terrifying. So I say I don't forget things, but maybe I forget everything. Like, which is why it's really
Yes,
important to
yes.
have that, like,
That's
have a third party verify it and just sort of say, yeah, you played really tight and it was great, and you just there's nothing else you could have done, or to be able to actually point to a few things and say, you need to tighten this up because you are making X mistake without realizing it, whatever it may be. I'm certainly forgetful, but like I say, unless somebody else is looking out for you, you don't know what you're forgetting.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, a good
And
lesson
still,
there.
I think that was a very, very valuable weekend for me, because I have also need to better my mindset a bit. I feel a lot of pressure that I didn't feel in the past. So I wish so often I would be just an unknown person in the community, because every game I lose, I think people then think I'm bad or I'm not that good at it, or I don't. It's stupid, I know, but I told it before, but it's still a card game. I know that, and from time to time, the successes have to come if you have to consider yourself to be a very good player. But to feel yeah, to miss sometimes out, it should be just be fine for yourself. Actually, it was. I don't want to blame my draws or something, but I think I lost very unfortunate games still, and yeah, split the whole day. It was 2 game format, but I think that's fair, and I had no really bad opponents or something, so
Yeah.
it's actually fine. But yeah, still a disappointing outcome to be just in the middle of the field or something for me.
Yeah.
But then actually on the Sunday, I didn't feel confident with the deck at all. I don't know why. I had all games to Zeus in my opening hand or something, and I bricked. But the deck felt so bricky. I just wanted, after round 4, I wanted to throw it on the wall, and I was so mad. All the time I mulliganed only 2 or 3, and then I get 2 Zeus or something, and I think, what's this here? I drew so bullshit. But I don't want to blame it on the draws. That's not what we should do. The deck just didn't feel good for me. And to be honest, I'm not the most experienced PS player too. So it still could be that I did some mulligan decisions wrong. That could be possibly, could still be possible. But then on the Sunday, I just, there was on the same in Vienna, in Schwechat, there was in the same location a set championship with 40 people, and then I just went back to red purple, and I got my 3rd scar in the 3rd tournament, but lost in top 4. So no 3rd champion met. That was sad. I screwed up. No, I played against against green purple. I lost in top 4 2-0 against myself. I felt really bad, and my opponent was really nice. And he played really good. And he told me, "Why you don't play green purple?" And I don't think, and I think I just said it feels not good right now. And I felt a bit guilty to not play the deck that other players play now because of me. I don't know if it's because of me, but it's still a bit. Yeah, I think I will focus more on green purple from now on. I want to apologize on my community. I don't want to say green purple is bad. It's in testing. It always feels like not having the best matchup spread right now, but then in every tournament there is a green purple player nearly in top 8 or top 4 or something, so it's still absolutely viable, and I don't know actually myself why I don't pick it, but maybe it's just confidence. Also, my red purple experience in the last weeks was very good, so yeah, actually, just to summarize, actually just a very, very valuable weekend for me. It was a lot of fun. They were also nice, and I played with Earlmeister. We were on the VIP tables. That was the next thing, the VIP tables. So everybody who played against Earlmeister or me had to play on this VIP table. And on round 6 or something, I was place, I don't know, 45 or something, and still be on the VIP table. People should think, "Hey, why is he even good?" But yeah, it was fun. Yeah, it was a fun weekend. Yeah, I don't
Nice.
know if
Yeah.
you follow the stream.
Yeah, I watched some of Meister's stream and got to see some of your games. I watched more on Sunday. Saturday, I was just completely out of my mind with fever, but Sunday I watched some games, which was great.
And the meta was kind of interesting because I played Purple Sea because I thought, oh, DKP introduced this full shark list, and Purple Sea kind of eats that deck with these reliable shark answers, and less Sisus. But actually, the whole room was full of Steel Song. The red blue seems to have just plot armor. I don't know. Everybody agrees that red blue is the best deck, and still, well, room is full of Steel Song. I don't know. I don't know. I just don't
Yeah,
know. They just have plot armor. I don't know. No, not the counter decks get popular. the decks that it counters gets popular for some reason, you know. It's kind
Yeah,
of stupid.
it. I'm glad you've said that because it's sort of something I've noticed as well. Is that the opinion of red blue is incredibly high, and we've been saying all through this set that it probably has the highest ceiling in most rooms. It is the most power in a high level tournament with high level players. It's probably the best deck. But it's not played anywhere near as widely as you'd expect from that. It's
Mm-hmm.
just and like you say, the knock on effect should be that like Steel Song and stuff like that with a bad red blue matchup is unplayable. But the tournaments I've been to are just loaded with
Yeah,
traditional Steel
yeah.
Song. Like you think, right, the Amber Steel players have all either jumped off the decks they're afraid of red blue, or they've moved to like a diggy diggy hole
Mm-hmm.
type build because it's more linear and is better at racing red blue. And then you find out that actually people just didn't change anything, and
Mm-hmm.
actually half of them didn't care. They just thought, you know what, I like playing Ariel in Whole New World. I'll just keep doing that. It's been fun for the last 12 months. I'll just keep rinsing and repeating. Um, and they haven't shifted, and you leveled yourself by thinking that things would change. You are the architect of your own demise by
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
assuming that people will move and assuming like the metagame in Lorcana is so interesting. It's like no game I've ever played before.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it is fast moving, but it also doesn't move.
Yeah,
I I
but
I, I
yeah.
almost can't like articulate it properly. It's just you've got this perceived metagame based on the most recent tournament results of that week and like things that people play on simulators, that sort of thing, trends in that. And actually they don't always correlate
Mm-hmm.
into
Mm-hmm.
the actual changes people make in person. So you have to make an extra call of like, is this shift real? And is it like big enough for me to care about? It's a big gamble to make a meta call. You're better off playing something super consistent and trying to just like ignore the week to week fluctuations a lot of the time, it feels like.
Yeah, not only super consistent, but also something like, I mean, red purple, for example. I can play that deck while sleeping. You know, that's
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
that's that's just it's so. You know, every play line, every what I mulligan for in every matchup, what I and it's also good for your endurance, or how you can say, if you just don't
Mm.
have to think that much, because with purple steel I had not
Yep.
that much play test, and then yeah, it was tricky sometimes, which I mean, it's not too different, but still you need to know how to mulligan against some matchups, and for example with the Pete's and stuff, and um yeah, maybe I don't think I did super much wrong, but yeah, probably still played the deck a bit less good than green purple or red purple. And my insight is from the weekend is that I will stick with my comfort picks still. The people stay with their comfort picks. Red blue is not that popular because
Yes.
in other TCGs, red blue would be a deck. It's a super high control deck, you know. That's not
Yes.
something for everyone. That's not, that was never the fact in TCGs, that there were some people that like control style deck, and there were also a lot of people that like aggro decks, and then there were a lot of people that like mid range decks like red purple or something. And yeah, I think that you're just your simple mindset you can't overcome, probably. You can do it, but yeah, it needs to be fun at um still.
Yeah, for
Yes.
sure.
Yeah, that's for that. So yeah, what I want to talk about now is actually a pretty cool list that I saw yesterday. Was this 5K at I don't know the name, sorry, in USA somewhere, where all the good people like Zan and Zach also.
Oh, Southside Gaming, right? Is
Southside
that right?
Gaming, yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And there was a green purple player who was really good in my opinion, and he also played a really really good list. Like something like I would play right now if I would, if not if I would, when I play green purple now. Yeah, I just show it here now, and yeah, I think that's the best approach that you can do right now. What I found out that the big Ursula is still very good and the big Clarabelle too. That's just endgame threats that still are not dying to Sisu first of all, and have some surprise factor and still do their things. What he decided with this list, what I think actually is really clever, you go full for the 3 1-drop line, and you have this Mother Knows Best as an additionally shark answer. The 3 1-drop line leaves, just provides you with a lot more room for maybe some other stuff like the Mother Knows Best or the big bombs. And that's what I really like. The only thing he said after the tournament, I talked with him a bit. He would play 4 rabbits and 3 GDs. But that's the only thing that he would change. Because I get that, because rabbit is just better into red blue. And I think this deck, a list like this has a really flat matchup spread. I think you are not highly favored into anything, but not also highly unfavored into anything. I think that's a pretty good list. And you can see the Mother Knows Best too, because many people tag Lyle now for these aggressive matchups, but I think Mother Knows Best does nearly the same purpose a bit. You just gain tempo by it and win hopefully the race with it. That's what this card does, and is everything important what's needed in this deck is in here. And the red purple matchup is really good with Clarabelles, I think. The Steel Song gets better with Big Ursula. Yeah, I really would like it very much. And congratulations, you played very well. What do you say, LD?
Yeah, I really like it. It's got loads of things that I have kind of played with this set. 2 Mother Knows Best, as like you've seen in a lot of my past lists from this set.
You reached top 16 with that.
I really like that. As the shark answer, and it does put pressure on your unlinkables, but I really like it as a tempo tool as well. Like you say, plays so nicely with the Clarabelle. You have so many turns where you're just able to shift and bounce as well and get a massive amount of draw. I did have green purple ready to play this weekend if I was going to be able to play, and my version is not. I don't have it to hand, unfortunately. So can't show it. But I went back to 1 copy of Big Ursula. I think it makes a lot of sense to play it again. Like you say, it has matchups where it just really shines. And just shaving back on some of these 2-drops to make room for some of the bigger stuff makes total sense. I think it's a really clean build.
Yeah, I really like it.
I like where the cuts have been made, basically.
Yeah, me
which
too.
Allow you to,
makes a lot of sense.
It allows you to still play 4 kits, 4 crabs, which are like, people often shave numbers of those. But both of us seem to feel the same, that like when the matchups where those cards are needed, they are so super good that you pretty much always want to see them. And it all makes a lot of sense to me. And massively well done to this player. I think it's a really nice, well-rounded build that reflects sort of, like you say, really good into a flat open metagame, which is kind of what we've got right now, or what it feels like we've got, and reflects like the best of what we've learned this set. This feels like a great sort of end of set 6 green purple build.
Exactly. So I think his name was Brian. So congratulations again, Brian. You did well.
Congrats.
You also played very well. I saw one of your matches against red purple. I just want to say you did one slight misplay. I don't want to blame you. Just for.
You're really gonna do that? You're gonna call out one of his misplays on?
No, I just wanted people to improve, because I really think, and that's what my thought is initially, that you played very, very, very good. That's what I want to say with that, because I only tell one slight misplay, in my opinion, because he was on the draw against red purple, and he had 3 merfolks. And he kept all 3. That was right. But then he had also a snake. And he didn't keep the snake. So I just wanted to say, keep the snake too. That's maybe that's an insight. Yeah, I don't want. That's really no blame. Yeah, it's just because if they open Flynn, you can't compete the Flynn, and then you can turn 2 snake and then turn 3 merfolks, and then it's pretty much GG. wanted to say that that's everything. But everything
Yeah, it's
else
a
was
pretty good
played
line.
pretty good. Really, really, really good played. Really, I was really impressed.
Yeah, nice.
Yes. I don't. I
Fantastic.
hope you don't feel offended. But now we go to the exciting stuff. We have some really, really cool spoilers, and with these spoilers, we just took out the best spoiler. We don't talk about every card that revealed today. We got a bunch of cards revealed for the new set, also a bunch of Duel Link cards, and we will talk about the most exciting stuff right now. I think short disclaimer, big disclaimer. We are wrong probably with every card we evaluate now. Okay, thank you.
Not me, but you are.
Yeah, but we start because There's actually one card already that is splitting the community into two halves, and that's always funny because I like this. I like these cards that split the. Yeah, like Bend to My Will or such cards which split the community in. This is absolutely broken. Turn 4 Bend to My Will, or they say it's completely nonsense if opponent has a Banzai on board or something. But yeah, it's always funny. The first card is the new Bolt, and to be fair, the new Bolt needs to be evaluated with his possible shift options, and the possible shift options got also revealed, but they are unfortunately not very good. The one is a 4-cost 2/4 quest for 2 support, and the other is a 2-cost 1/3. When it quests and has no damage, you may draw a card and discard a card. Also not what you want to play. So the problem is you have not good very shift lines for that, but the card in itself is powerful, I think, and has of course. If you could say the shift options were good, it would be really good, I think. The effect when you raid this character, gain 1 law for each other undamaged character you have in play. That's a scary thing. And it's good, obviously. It needs an immediate answer. What's not easy on turn 3, for example, if you shift it. The second effect, it depends a bit if this vanish characters get popular. What do you think about it?
It has a lot of the right text for Amber Steel, doesn't it? It has shift 3 and cost 5.
Yeah.
So historically pretty good
Yeah.
precedent for that being like very playable. I really don't know where I fall with this. I'm not as high on it as some people seem to be. Certainly, there will be cases where you get to sing your whole new world with Bolt or something, and then just those later whole new worlds in the game where you sort of your opponent is kind of you clear their board out mostly, then you wheel and just fill your board with stuff, and sometimes you'll get to gain a bunch of lore with this. Yeah, sometimes it will massively run away with the game, but kind of in situations where you're already running away with the game.
Yeah, that can be. Well, do you know what really broken is with this card as a combo?
Okay, maybe yeah.
Sven, the ready Sven.
Yeah, okay.
That's a pretty cool combo. Because the Sven is playable in itself, I think it's not a bad card. It's hard to see.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. So you get at least 1 lore from the Sven, and maybe you have some other characters. I don't know if that's too combo-ish all in all together. And I think it depends still on the shift line. You need good shift targets for that.
Yeah, for this to be playable in any kind of Steel Song deck, you absolutely like the shift target can't just be okay because like all those slots are spoken for. Like it has to actually be really decent.
It must be at least a goon or something.
The easy comparison for this sort of body wise at the moment is Robin Hood, and the 5 willpower versus 6 is actually a pretty big deal. Like getting Zeus versus not. Robin is so massive and hard for a lot of decks to deal with when it's shifted in early.
And Robin
This
is
is quite a lot easier to clean up.
yeah, and Robin is very consistent. I would say it
Yeah,
never nearly never gets you disadvantage. You get most of the time the card back, and
yeah.
yeah, that's a very good comparison to be honest. I think Robin Hood overall will maybe be above this, but let's see. Let's see. I'm happy to be wrong.
Yeah, it's a cool card and one to
It's a
keep your
cool
eye on.
card, yeah.
Yeah, the playable, right?
So the next card, despite the community, the Ink Geyser, 3-cost uninkable. It's a bit confusing to read. Each player exerts all the cards in the inkwell. Okay. Then each player with more than 3 cards in the inkwell returns cards at random from the inkwell to their hand, like the Mufasa, the blue, until they have 3 cards in the inkwell. So it's weird. It's a weird effect. It's also a cool effect, I think. And I don't know, but I don't know. First of all, I don't know what this card is actually doing, except bullying a bit, red blue or something. And I don't have the deck in mind that will you make use of this card. My first reaction was it's really bad. I don't see this card being playable, but I am happy to be wrong. Because I think what is this card against every deck that's a little bit faster than doing nothing on the first turns will just think, okay, yeah, do this. And I mean, imagine Diggy Hole. They maybe they are happy. You get your cards from the inkwell back, and yeah, I don't know. Against any faster deck, this card is so bad and uninkable. And yeah, it probably is still good against red blue. But is that good enough for a card? And you need to play a whole deck around this card. I think this is a deck defining card. I think it's not a random one or two of. I think
Yeah.
yeah. What do you think?
I really like it. I don't think it's a good card that's playable, but I really like that they are brave enough to go into this design space where like ink denial. I think that for too long it's been too hard to like disrupt linear ramp based game plans. I don't think this is the card that breaks that wide open, but I love that they're willing to go to
Uh-huh.
the space with this card. I like what it represents. Um, and I don't think, this is a dual link card for green and blue. So the only the only deck it goes into is some sort of Clarabelle ramp, bend to my
Mm-hmm.
will type thing. You're going to be able to do some cool stuff with that. Like the returning, deck wise, this has to be a Clarabelle deck, right? It benefits from like the fast ramping yourself,
Yeah.
but then it kind of punishes your own ramping.
Yeah,
I don't, yeah, I don't,
it's
it cuts both ways. I don't know.
it's so weird to evaluate because you only can play this card if you're ahead. You can never play this
Yeah,
card if you're behind. Never. It's just it's you have to be ahead on board. What's not easy with this color combination, and then this has to be the missing gap. I can only see this in an aggro deck or something, and then you play this as an actual like a Pete or something because your opponent ramps to a B prep and you deny it. You build a board and then you deny the B prep. That's what
yeah,
I would see with this card. But a green blue aggro deck is not what we saw much
no,
in the past. It's hard for me to find a spot in a deck in a
yeah.
competitive Lorcana deck.
It in theory, like this has the potential to be a really powerful effect. Restoring both players to three
Yeah,
to an inkwell size of 3. There are a lot of hoops to jump through, and on your path, jumping through those hoops, you have to stare at this big brick in your hand, which is uninkable and does nothing,
yeah,
and
yeah,
while your opponent just turns their daisies sideways and wins
yeah.
the game. Um,
because
So I don't really think it's not like particularly playable, but it's a cool build around card that I think you'll sometimes if you play the card if you play a deck built around this card, you would probably have some games that are the most fun you've ever had in a
yeah,
game, and and
that's
the least fun your opponents have ever had.
yeah.
Like, and it'd probably be a story they told for a long time, quite how miserable you made them
Yeah.
with Ink Geyser, but you just can't play a deck built like that into an open field where you just get run over by aggressive stuff, can you? And if there is a deck, I'd love there to be one. I can't see it
No,
right
I
now.
can see it because the
Maybe
card
with more
is
spoilers.
just doing nothing. It's just yeah for board or something. Yeah, we talked about it. I think it's probably unplayable, but still a very interesting effect. I think.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to be wrong. Um, Bent to my will, I saw way more potential in competitive play than this card.
Yes.
And it has, Bent to my will has a decent, yeah, not a great spot, but it has some playable competitive decks. I think that, I mean,
Yeah, it's
green blue
decent play.
mainly, where it has
Yeah.
its place. Next card is Pascal, and this is my favorite reveal so far. I mean, all people who know me know how I love Pascal. Pascal was my synergy card since set one. And this is Pascal on steroids. It's so great. I'm happy to try this card out, and I actually think it's kind of broken. I mean, in a way of broken, like it will win you a decent amount of games. I'm pretty sure about that. Because it's very early for a three quester, especially an evasive three quester. You can compare this with this ray. No, in the past there was a
Yeah.
ray that was the same but costs one more. That's a very meaningful thing to cost one less for the same card.
Yep.
And there will be many decks that don't want to see this card hitting the board on turn 4. Many decks. And I don't know. Purple yellow was not always in the best spot. Yeah, that's clear. It's in hyper aggro. That means probably they want purple yellow to be the hyper aggro color combination, and that's what this card is. Yeah, showing us. I think it's good. It's playable. If hyper aggro is playable, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to dislike this card. It does a lot for its cost. The only thing that concerns me really is like the uninkability
Mm-hmm.
because obviously it's color restricted. It only really goes into these aggressive um amber amethyst decks. That's all you can play it in, really. It's going to be fighting for slots in a deck like
Yeah.
that. And they're contested, and it's specifically fighting for the genie slot as well, which I think a lot of the time, actually, because genie gets brawled, because genie dies to CC with no ice block, that sort of thing. Often you will get more out of a Pascal than a genie, even though the genie draws. In a lot of situations. So yeah, I think it's cool. It's not.
Yeah,
I think.
it's not yeah, it's not very has not a lot of text, but
Yeah.
it's yeah.
It's like I think it slots really nicely into those Amber Amethyst Mufasa type decks that we've seen a little bit of. Seen some people bring some of these like slightly mid. They're aggressive, but they're a little more mid rangey. They kind of top out with Mufasa, and then a bunch of high questing stuff / evasive threats. This just looks like a slam dunk for a deck like that. Yeah, a really cool card to include.
Yeah.
Nice power level for an uncommon as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope there will be some. Unfortunately, our first green purple card got revealed, and this card is so super nonsense, and I don't know what they thought about it. The Kuzco, 4 cost 2/2, evasive. At the start of your turn, choose
Yeah.
one. Each player draws a card. Each player chooses and discards a card. I don't know what's the purpose of this card and what decks it should fit in. It's such a bad stat line.
Yeah.
It's unplayable. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not
four cost cards cannot. They're four cost cards without ward, rather, cannot be 2/2s. They certainly
yeah,
can't be uninkable 2/2s.
yeah.
Um,
With
and then
doing nothing when hitting
this,
the board.
yeah, does
Yeah.
nothing when it comes in, and then when it does finally do something, it's like a parallel effect, which I get it. You know, like in the past, we've seen that there's a Floodborn Donald Duck that both players draw a card at the start of the turn, and
Mm-hmm.
that filled a role in some of these early versions of Green Steel
Mm-hmm.
Discard,
Mm-hmm.
which is
Mm-hmm.
that, well, if you want your Prince John to keep getting value, they have to have something in their hand to discard. So you have a mirrored draw effect so that they draw at the start of your turn as well, and you can make them discard it and get some more out of your Prince John. I I think the need for something like that in green purple is just not there.
No.
This is not a card I'm going to be looking at much unless there's loads of other stuff in the color pairing in the set that somehow supports this archetype that wants this mirrored effect. If the whole if green purple's identity was all this sort of like draw discard
Yeah.
at parity type theming, I'd be really, really disappointed
Yeah.
because I don't think that's what the color pair really represents and does best. But we can at least say for this one right now, there's no real need to look too long at this card, is there?
Mm. Other card that I initially thought it was good, but then I rethought and thought, it's actually not good. Is the Troubadour.
Yep.
Because I thought it's a better Ursula, Vanessa.
Mm.
But because it has resist instead of the fourth health. But actually, what you often do with Ursula is getting Rapunzel
Yes.
value. And this card gets less Rapunzel value. So it's actually
Yep.
worse than Ursula, probably.
Yeah. I
Um,
completely agree.
yeah, initially I thought it's better, but it's worse. Yeah. I didn't think about that fact. Yeah. Then we have the Hades. I don't know. I don't see it. You will always compare this to the ladies, to Tremaine and Medusa, and I think it's strictly worse probably than these two. Or what do you think?
I was getting a bit sidetracked by like calling this like Hades, but with an L because it's like ladies. And that's
So true.
but yeah, unfortunately, this is not like you are going to compare it to the ladies, but it doesn't do the same thing. Those Medusa and Tremaine are both so strong when you've got to this like they're both really strong after a B prep when you're just
Mm-hmm.
able to just go one for one. That's like the key point of failure on this card is great stat line. We love that it quests for 2, but you have to deal 2 damage to something else to remove
Mm,
something. Like if you have nothing else in play, this does nothing.
yeah.
Which and
That's yeah.
the cost 3 or less condition is so much more restrictive than like Medusa's restriction
Nah,
of 3 strength
is
or
it?
less, I think.
Yeah, it
I
is
think so.
probably, yeah. I mean, it can
Like
kill a
you can't
fox. It can kill a fox, for example. But it's
you trade your ability to
it,
kill a fox for your ability to kill genies,
oh, it's true. It
habits.
can't kill genius. Oh no, 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 oh,
Yeah,
no, 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 no. Yeah, it's yeah, no, it's worse. It's worse. It
it's
has a better
a really
stat
cool
line than
card,
these
but
two.
yeah.
I don't see it.
I just think with that kind of effect, you need to be able to play it on an open board because like that
Yeah.
is so often when it's done. It's like you tap out to be prepared, they play something else. They maybe play 2 things, and then you clean up one of them with
Mm,
your lady and use that to maintain board control from there. But this just can't do that. You would have to play something else alongside it, and then
if they would
I don't know.
exist,
It asks a lot of you.
if the ladies wouldn't exist, then the Hades would be probably playable. But if you
Yeah,
compare
if
it,
this
it's
could
yeah.
if it could deal 2 to itself as well, it would be a
Yeah.
really playable
Yeah.
card. Yeah.
Next one, Mr. Smee. That's a really scary card in my opinion. I don't know. Probably cards like this will be too niche most of the time to see competitive play. I was wrong about many other cards before like that, but it's not a very restricting effect or something. It's a 3/3/3, uninkable though. Pirate Captain, what's also meaningful. And whenever you play an action, and that isn't a song, that's a restriction, of course, you may ready chosen pirate character, and there's nothing written like this character can't quest for the rest of the turn or something, so you can actually quest multiple times with your 2-cost Smee or something. I think it is decent, at least. It needs the right deck, of course. You must think about a lot of actions that aren't songs. That's of course a bit hard to find. Yeah, that's probably
That's that's what I'm trying to think of right now. Is in Green Steel, the best actions are mostly all songs. So what things are we playing? Well, they have to be kind of
improvise or
cheap,
something.
don't they?
Yeah,
Improvise, fire the cannons.
yeah.
There are some, Baboom, but yeah,
Smash.
yeah. Okay, yeah, there are some playable ones, but then
Yeah,
you
but
are like, often I think you would rather just be like singing strength with your 3-drop and
yeah,
then
yeah,
taking your whole fourth turn to just play something big and relevant, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. Nah, you're probably right.
It's cool though. Like it is, it's an interesting effect that like
I just thought if there's a kind of cheap three quester pirate, this can
yeah,
run away really fast. I
yeah,
think.
you have to look at this as a combo piece. Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
real potential here. And the other thing to keep an eye on is because there are illusions in this set, I think we have to assume that there will be at least some number of low cost targeted actions.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you're going to fill a set with illusion type stuff, you have to have some sort of answers built
Yeah,
in.
yeah, yeah.
You would hope. So, um, it's one to keep your eye on and one to keep a lookout for like the actions that you might want to pair this with because this has the potential to be a combo engine. If there is like some 4 questing pirate that is kind of good on rate, you're then really thinking like we can do
Mm-hmm.
something here.
Mm-hmm.
There's a
Mm-hmm.
deck. There is a deck that is yeah really really interesting and like not like anything we've seen before.
Yes, absolutely. The next one is pretty not really amazing or something. I can see a world where this card is playable, and that's the Thomas O'Malley.
Oh yeah.
Um, it's probably not good enough. I don't know, but it's interesting stat line, and it's good into any matchup. I mean, it's good into red because it has a lot of strength and it has ward, so it's good against steel too. Can trade everything, but probably not good enough. Or what would you say?
I completely understand where you're coming from with this card. Because I also have played Lorcana since the beginning of the game, and at times have really wanted my 3-drop to have ward. I cannot imagine that 4 being relevant enough for this to be playable over Prince Philip.
It's too
That's just a
fair.
3/2 that quest for 2. It's way too fair.
Yeah.
The days of this being something we would play are probably gone. The big pro for it is that it feels like we're living in a post grab your sword world, like
Mm-hmm.
most mainly, right?
Yeah.
Like for a really long time we couldn't play anything with 2 willpower
Yeah, that's true.
because grab your sword was everywhere. And it made things like this completely
I
unplayable. You
just
would never even consider them.
I
But
just
now it's maybe a lot more playable.
I just thought it is a very good go-go setupper.
Yeah, yeah.
Um and it's a CISO killer, and it's Lauren or everything trader in every steel matchup. On a draw on turn 3. On a draw honestly, on a draw on turn 3 against any steel deck, this is the best green purple could probably get on the board on turn 3.
Yeah.
On the draw. On the
Yeah.
play, it feels very fair. On the draw, it's a good card, I think. But yeah, It's probably too fair, you are right. But I think the four willpower is against this all diggy hole stuff. If this trades a Daisy, that feels so good because it's cannot be shoot away. And then they need to run with something else. And yeah, it's I think it's still meaningful that it is four strength instead of 3.
Yeah,
Um
the
yeah.
four the need for 4 strength stuff early in the game is so high. When we've both played purple decks for a really, really long time, and for a very long time we've got really comfortable with like most of our stuff in the early game having 3 strength,
Mm-hmm.
um, most of our options. And when you have to hit a daisy with 2 things,
Yeah.
it's so miserable. It's like, or to have to crab onto a snake or something just to
Yeah.
clean up a daisy, only to leave that snake exerted and enable a draw through with Rapunzel. It's really sad. But the 4 strength is it's actually a huge deal, and I totally get why you would look at something like this. This card is a lot better than it looks, but
Also
I worry
Lawrence.
it's still not playable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you're probably right. Um, Next one, I think that's the most hyped card yet. That's the
Mm.
Giant Cobra,
Yeah.
purple steel card. I think I'm way lower on this card than the community is, but let's see. It's a 3 cost 4/4. What's absolutely crazy good, obviously. Has this vanish downside, of course, with if it's targeted by a spell, it gets banished.
Yep.
And has another effect when you play this character, you may choose and discard a card to gain 2 lore. And especially this second effect, I think, is way worse than the people think. You can nearly only use this to finish, because when are you happy to discard a card? It's so bad. Or at least to come into a 16, 17, 18 lore range. Do you want this to play this on turn 3 and just randomly discard a card to go to 5 lore? I don't think so.
Often no, but I mean there will be cases where you feel like you've got a strong path to like playing Whole New World or something, and you're
Yeah.
happy to just you're not so worried about staying up on cards, or you're accelerating towards a route with Doc I don't know. You are right. I don't know why I'm trying to argue against it. I think like
No, it's
it's a
absolutely. I mean, the people are high on it, and it's maybe I'm wrong too, but I think that the effect seems to be way stronger than it actually is. I think if you have to do a downside to get lore, we're all fighting for attrition and everything. Still, I mean, it's not that we have thousands of cards in our hand and are happy to discard cards. So every card matters still in the game. And to actually discard a card to gain I mean, it's a finisher, you know. If you're on 18 Lord, you draw this. It's
yeah,
a
yeah.
good card. Yeah, it's not a downside, of course. But I just think you will use this effect way less than you think. You will never discard a rabbit or something for this effect,
Yep.
or something else. And the vanish is still tricky for me. I mean, there could be a lot of situations where you just feel very bad. I mean, if their opponent plays, I don't know, there are still enough cards, and maybe they get into the meta when some Vanish becomes popular, like Heffalumps or something. If this is just game
Mm,
losing, if it gets by a cheap
yeah.
song targeted, and then it's very bad. And I could imagine to see that some cheap cantrip songs that target could see play, like Heffalumps or something, that doesn't have a real downside. You can ink them if you don't need it, and if you need it, you can sing it and draw a card and replace themselves.
Yeah,
So I
for
could
sure.
I could see some of these cantrip spells to be playable, and
Yeah.
then it feels bad. I mean, 3 is not the highest cost card, but I don't know how you see it.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what we said before when we talked about the illusion mechanic, is
Yeah.
that there's only so playable that any illusion can be before it becomes worth other decks making card choices that, a lot of these cards you're talking about, like cheap cantrip actions, there's a really low deck building cost to including them in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
decks. The Vanish stuff is already soft to a lot of steel decks who can basically just like you can storm this 4/4 and it just dies, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's
Mm-hmm.
great. Um, Other decks that don't have those answers, if enough illusions are played, they just slot some of those things in. So there's like this, I don't know if you call it a ceiling. There's only so good they can be before those things come in, and then it's automatically
Bad.
their
Yeah.
power level is
Yeah.
That you can't assess their power level in a vacuum like other cards because they are actually powerful relative to the amount of actions being run. So I think that like when you compare this to something like White Rose, which I mean the 4/4 is a massive, that's a massive stat line. And yes, Lawrence is awesome, but this isn't Lawrence. And like you say, it's a great closer, good reach. I think it's a very playable card, but there'll be so many times when you play this as well instead of like a Lawrence or a White Rose on 3, and you're just like full fingers crossed, like, wow, I just committed my turn 3 to playing this 4/4, which should be a great thing. But if they have like any one of these
Yeah.
actions
Yeah.
that I can think of, I fully lose the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like
I mean,
it'll crush some matchups and lose others.
yeah, that's the thing. I think against red, all these vanish cards are really good. I think because they have no cheap option to. I mean, all the cards that kill this are just hard removal stuff that kills it either way. Even if so I mean the vanish doesn't really matter for those effects. Like be prep or good brawl doesn't work here, but Medusa, Tremaine or something that doesn't matter if this had vanish. So against red, I could see this vanish cards to be really good. But against steel, against green, against steel and green, I think is the problem here.
Yeah, for sure.
It's really hard to say. But speaking of the vanish characters, there's actually one that I think is really good, and that's the last card for now. That's Rajah, and that's really good. I think 2-cost 3/3. That is really no downside because it dies to everything, of course, but that would also be the fact if it had less stats. So that doesn't is not a difference. I mean, if it dies to Storm, yes, but it would die to Storm if it would have only 3/2 as well, so it makes no sense. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, and it's a very good board control early game card, I think. I could see this card being played, of course.
Yeah.
What do you think?
This is, I agree. And the other thing we mentioned before when we talked about illusions was the cheaper they are, the better they are, because you take them further down the curve, and like you say, the actions that answer them would have answered them anyway if they didn't have this inflated stat line. So this reads as a 3/3 in pretty much all scenarios other than when it's stormed, in which case it's a 3/2, and that's kind of fine because what more can you ask of a 2-drop really? This really is like, this isn't busted. This isn't like way overstatted. This is like about as powerful as an illusion can be before you start getting into like it's too good territory. If this was a 3/4, it would be too good.
Yeah.
If it was, well, if it cost 1, it would be far too good. So once you're down into this really low cost illusion territory, I think this is like really perfectly designed where it's playable but not obscenely busted, but like a single point of anything anywhere would have made this card too good, I think. If it costed for 2, it would be too good.
Yeah, that was that would be too good. Then it would nearly be as good as me because that's and that can't be. And that can't be. You can't print a card that's nearly as good as Mr. Smee. No, jokes aside, I think it's there will be a lot of situations where you're really happy to play this on turn 2, I think. And don't feel you are happy to play this on turn 2 a lot of the times, I think. There will be it's also good later in the game. It's a good low cost character that's good later in the game. That's also something I always like because if you draw one cost terrible later in the game, it's bad. If you draw, but this is actually still surviving a lot of things and can trade still a lot of things in the end game. Of course, the problem is a bit for me that it's not how can I say, not made for an archetype or something. It's not an aggro card. And maybe it's a control card just for board control early game or something. You could consider it more for red purple or something to just gain board control in the early game. But it has no real purpose for me. Because in other TCGs I played, overstated cards were aggro cards because they made that the strength of the card is the damage they deal, but in Lorcana it's different. It's not an aggro card because it's overstated, because it has only one law. That's a bit of a weird situation for the card. So I actually don't know if it finds a home. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
Because do you play it in green purple? No, you want to play a threat on turn 2, a real threat.
Yeah.
That quest for 2 probably. Do you play it in red purple? I don't know. It's pretty fair for red purple playstyle, I think. So my feeling is it won't see play, but it's very close, I think.
I also worry this doesn't have a home. But like I say, it's like its crime is being too fair, isn't it? Like it is a well-statted card. It's a great rate, but like anything extra would have made it too good, and it would have just been crazy. But like in this spot where it's balanced, I don't know I don't know what game plan it supports, but maybe there's more illusion support.
This will never replace Snake. Never.
No, it doesn't. It does so much less.
Yeah. Yes. But that's it actually for the first reveals. I think the next days will be probably, hopefully, with a lot of reveals and hopefully some good green purple reveals too. But
I have one more reveal. Can I?
Oh yes.
Can we talk about one more?
Oh yes. Can we?
It was on the initial. It was on the initial. The same image as Bolt. The splash art, and it's the 3-cost Jafar.
Okay. Yeah.
3/2.
Oh, I forgot about it.
See if you can pull it up.
Yeah. Okay, I see it. Yeah.
3-cost, 3/2, quest for 2, and has like a slightly smaller crab effect. I think this is cool.
It quests for 2, that's the upside, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you will play this in probably Jafar decks only, probably.
I think like purple steel, that kind of Calhoun into crab line is really good, but you can only do that in a purple steel deck. But in like there must be some other steel decks that might want access to something like that. Like thinking about things like the blue steel curve deck, that sort of thing, with that has no access to this kind of like bigger punching power to sometimes take those trade ups.
Or green steel for better location answers or something. I can see it a bit.
Yeah. I don't think this is like a card that's setting the world on fire, but I think it's just making it available, this kind of effect available in steel on a body that's still aggressive is worth a look. It does something basically, and I think maybe like those blue steel curve decks might really be interested in something like this.
If you see it like that, I have to rethink a bit about it probably, because if you think about it, we all know the crab lines, If we play against purple, we play around the crab lines and don't let. But if now Diggy Diggy Hole or something can do some crab things too, like also do that a bit less good, but and then have a 2-coster on the board. I could see this in Diggy Diggy Hole if you then trade your Daisy into a Smee or something, or I don't know. I could see some annoying trades being available with this card. That's usually only available before in purple decks. I think this will never. I don't want to say it will never see play in purple steel decks, but I'm afraid that crab is still better. I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. For the most part, it's going to be, isn't it? Because it's got that the effect on leaving as well that plays so well with the bounce package.
And the
I'm
free
really only
willpower.
interested in this. Yeah, I'm really only interested in this as access to that kind of crab-like effect
Mm-hmm.
on a good body, because we have seen there's a 2-cost Mickey that's a 1/3 quest for 2 and gives something challenger 2. So that's like the same effect on a bad body, but this is a decent
Or
aggressive body.
the Mag on from from Z1, the Megara from Z1.
The
That was
green one,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
2/1, yeah.
yeah.
I think just the fact if this quested for 1, you wouldn't give it a second look. But
No, yeah,
in
exactly.
in these steel piles that just like tons of things that quest for 2, and increasingly like Calhoun's, Robins, things that you actually want to take good trades with to gain more lore, or at least as much lore in Robin's case. I think this has got to be worth a look. It's worth testing.
Yeah, and it's still a decent threat against Red Blue or something. Decent turn
Yeah,
3 play. A 2 quest on turn 3 is always reasonable
yeah,
against
yeah.
some slower control decks. So yeah, I overlooked it. It was really good. Is there something else? I'm not just looking right now. I think the other cards were pretty, yeah, bad or medium, mid or something.
There are a lot that have
yeah.
kind of interesting effects that like
The
you
mat
couldn't say they're good right now, but you would look at them maybe later on in the set and see if the other stuff came out to support them.
the green red Mad Hatter is funny because when I read it first, it was misread it. It's also possible for your opponent. Whenever a damaged character challenges another character, you may draw a card. So if your opponent has a damaged character and wants to challenge this, you draw a card. Actually, it's not only when you.
Wow. Yeah, that is a good spot. Yeah,
But
that's
it's
cool.
still a 6 cost 3/5.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it's
yeah,
yeah.
it's not good enough. But I mean that is a cool observation. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see it. Or this yokai, you pay 1 less to play characters using their shift abilities. I don't see it. You play this 2
If it
cost
was
that does nothing, and yeah. Sorry, what would you
the
say? Yeah.
I was just going to say if this effect was on a 1-drop, it would be so sick.
Oh
But
yes.
on a two, it messes up the curve too much, because I looked at this and I thought, okay, what's the earliest we can shift a Clarabelle in a green blue ramp deck
Uh
now?
huh.
And it's the same turn because they cost 2. Because you should be
Yeah.
the one less that you pay for shifting, you should just be gaining from playing a Tipo
Yeah.
anyway. So it's
It's
like
nonsense.
this is like a Tipo that comes with a really, really steep condition, which is that
Yeah.
you can only spend the Inky ramp on shifting, and if it dies, the extra that you
Yeah.
gained go
No,
away. So
it's
yeah, no good.
no.
The only other card I wanted to remark on was the 1-drop lady. One
Ah,
cost
yeah.
uninkable, 1 cost uninkable lady, 1/2. Quest for 2 if you have a tramp in play. This purely caught my interest because I really like the dual color lady, and I wanted to know what the shift targets were. And I saw
Ah,
this,
okay,
and
true.
and
This is a shift
and it
target for the.
and it made me sad because I don't think this. I'm not put. You
I don't
can't
see it.
play any
Yeah.
more uninkable 1-drops as your
Oh,
shift
it's
target. I
no,
hope there's another
it's
one.
at least no other 1-drop probably. Um,
Yeah,
that's sad, yeah, because I don't like these conditions as well. Like this, you have a tramp, and how many tramps do you play? And then you need to have it,
yeah,
and if you have no tramp, this is so bad. Yeah, this is sadly not good.
yeah. It's a bit. I would like it if there was a good 1 or 2-drop lady for shifting that 3 cost that we've seen, the 5-cost shift 3 that we've seen. But so that was one of the things I was really waiting on
Yeah,
this
maybe
spoiler season. Actually, was what do the shift targets look like for lady? And yeah, that one ain't it, unfortunately.
even a goon would be better. Way better,
Yeah,
way better.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And the Mufasa is also a card I don't see. I don't know.
it's
Yeah.
really hard to kill.
It's really hard to kill. That's true. Except for oh no, even Maui Shark doesn't kill it.
Nope.
Wow. But it's 7 cost. Oh,
Yeah,
it's so fair.
this
It's such
card
a
is tough to kill. I
yeah.
wish it had ward.
It's so fair. It's so fair. Imagine what you can
It
all
is,
do in turn 7.
yeah, it's a little bit more fair.
Yeah.
It's
Okay,
yeah, it's too fair.
that's it. But we can be excited for the next days and weeks. It's always so exciting, the pre-release, the day. I'm waiting every day for a new reveal, and it's so exciting for me to
Yeah,
see all these cards being revealed. And initially, um, thinking about decks, and I have always something in mind that I would want to try out. And so it's so fun. Yeah.
yeah, totally.
Yes.
It's the best time to be a TCG player.
Yeah,
It's
it's
what
like
I
Christmas.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and every card is like perfect because it's completely untested. So
Yes.
everything that you think is good, you haven't had a chance to learn it's bad yet. It
Yeah.
still exists as this perfect
Yeah.
conception in your head. And
Like
that's
when the best example
I
is
wish they could all stay there.
sorry, yeah. The best example was the set 3 where Jafar was revealed and everybody thought it is so busted, and then the people just realized that it's an absolutely brick deck, and not bad, but it was not that busted that the people thought it is. But it's so exciting that the people then want to try it, and we all want to find out. Yeah, I still hope there will be no blue or red good cards be revealed in the future. That would be very nice.
I
Thank
think you
you.
might be unlucky. They're probably going to get at least one good card.
Yeah, I think yeah, it's also fair. But we need a good green purple card. Not this Cusco, please. As much as I like Cusco, but not this Cusco, please.
Not this one.
Okay. So I think we're done for today. We will see us next week, I think, with a ton of new spoilers. And yeah, have a good one, everyone. And yeah, bye bye till next week.
Yep. Bye bye.